The emperor believed every citizen would eventually bow before him. His soldiers had broken generals, kings, and entire nations. A frightened 12-year-old girl should have been the easiest person to intimidate. Instead, she became one of the bravest Christians in Roman history. Standing before powerful judges, surrounded by armed soldiers, she was offered one final chance to save her life. All she had to do was deny Jesus Christ. Her answer stunned the entire courtroom, and her courage would be remembered for nearly 2,000 years. At the beginning of the 4th century, the Roman Empire launched one of its most violent persecutions against Christians. Emperor Diocletian ordered that churches be destroyed, sacred scriptures burned, and every believer required to offer sacrifice to the Roman gods. Refusing the order was considered an act of treason against the empire itself. Across Rome, prisons filled with Christians who refused to abandon their faith. Many were tortured publicly to discourage others from following Christ. Among those believers lived a young girl named Agnes. Although she belonged to a wealthy Roman family, her greatest treasure was not her family's status or possessions. From childhood, she had dedicated her life completely to Jesus Christ. Her quiet faith quickly became known throughout the city. Many admired her extraordinary kindness, while others mocked her refusal to participate in pagan ceremonies. As Agnes grew older, several influential young noblemen sought her hand in marriage. One of them came from a powerful Roman family with close ties to the imperial government. Confident that no girl would reject such an offer, he expected an immediate acceptance. Instead, Agnes calmly replied that her life already belonged to another. She explained that she had dedicated herself completely to Christ and would never abandon him for earthly wealth or power. The rejection humiliated the young nobleman. Furious, he reported Agnes to Roman authorities, accusing her of being a Christian who refused to worship the gods of Rome. Soldiers soon arrived at her family's home and arrested the young girl. She was brought before Roman judges who believed fear alone would force her to renounce her faith. Standing before the tribunal, Agnes appeared remarkably calm. Officials reminded her that she was still very young and had her entire life ahead of her. They promised wealth, marriage, comfort, and freedom if she would simply burn a small amount of incense before the emperor's image. It seemed like such a small act. Many people had already done the same to save their lives. Agnes quietly refused. The judges increased the pressure. They threatened imprisonment, humiliation, and finally execution. Yet every promise and every threat received the same peaceful response. She declared that no earthly ruler deserved the worship that belonged only to Jesus Christ. Those present could hardly believe that a child possessed such extraordinary courage. When it became clear that Agnes would never deny her faith, the sentence was pronounced. She was condemned to death as an enemy of Rome. According to ancient Christian tradition, she accepted the sentence without fear, praying for those who condemned her. Witnesses were astonished by the peace visible on her face even in her final moments. Her execution did not silence Christianity. Instead, news of her courage spread rapidly throughout Rome. Christians secretly preserved the story of the young girl who valued eternal life more than earthly survival. Even some pagans who witnessed her unwavering faith began questioning the religion they had always followed. The empire had intended to make Agnes an example of defeat. Instead, she became an example of victory through faith. Only a few years later, Emperor Constantine legalized Christianity throughout the Roman Empire. The faith that Rome had tried to destroy continued growing stronger with every generation. Churches were built in honor of Saint Agnes, and believers from around the world traveled to remember the place where her witness inspired countless others. Today, nearly 17 centuries later, Saint Agnes remains one of the most beloved martyrs of the early Church. She reminds us that true courage is not measured by age, physical strength, or political power. Sometimes the strongest faith in history is found in the heart of someone the world considers too young to make a difference. Her life proves that one faithful believer can leave a testimony that outlives even the greatest empire.